Hey everybody, thanks for checking out another video. So I've been waiting a little bit to do this video, but I need to do it. This has been the craziest like week and a half in AI news that has ever existed maybe in the history of mankind. If every week we're like this, we'll have flying cars and be in like what I would have imagined the year 3000, I think by the end of this year, probably. I don't know how many weeks we have left in this year, like 40 or more, who knows? Probably less than that actually. But we just got to get into it. There's so much news, and I want to break it down, try to explain my point of view for it, and just trying to, I would say not scare people, but I'm not sure. I'm a little scared myself, so let's just jump in right to it. So the first big thing is that I was reading recently. Bill Gates wrote this article. I thought this was kind of cool. I mean, I work at Microsoft, so he's not like the head of Microsoft anymore. It's somebody else now. But I always looked up to him, and I consider him to be a smart person. So this was an interesting article here. The age of AI has begun. This was just on the 21st. What's today that I'm recording this? 26, so like 5 days ago or so, just talking about the artificial revolution. And I found this pretty cool, where he said that only in his lifetime, two demonstrations of technology that struck him as revolutionary. One being the GUI, which kind of started a little thing called Windows. I don't know if you've heard about that. I'm making my own little desktop environment in the browser, kind of cloning Windows 10 because I love GUIs so much, and they were revolutionary. But the next thing basically that he found was just last September when OpenAI kind of came to him and demoed him again this GPT-4, which we didn't know was GPT-4 at the time, but they've kind of been talking to it for a little bit now. Apparently, it kind of came out in this in some of this article here. It's a really interesting article. He also did a video, a YouTube with the CTO of Microsoft, and that's worth checking out too because he talks about a lot of the same stuff. So that could be like another way to check it out. But yeah, that was an interesting one. And then it kind of brings me to the next piece here in regards to GPT-4, which is this article. It's not an article. It's like a 154-page research paper. I haven't gone through, and I'll admit I've summarized it a bit. I've looked into it a bit. But some things that kind of stood out to me here, like, I mean, just the wording right here, sparks of AGI, artificial general intelligence. This is what we are waiting for, essentially. We've been waiting for. We're still waiting for it. I'm saying we're not there yet. But what I'm seeing, what they're talking about here, and what I've seen a lot, there's a lot of naysayers on Reddit and stuff. And I'm not a professional myself. I'm not even an ML, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm a good logical thinker in a lot of ways. So, and I've played with GPT, and I see where they're going with a lot of this. So I think actually they're right, in a lot of ways, and it's more too, like, especially when people say, "Oh, it's just predicting the next word." I mean, I don't think that attributes the multimodal nature of GPT-4, where you can take a picture of a balloon, a helium balloon on a string with scissors, and you just show it that picture, and you say, "What happens if the scissors cut the string?" or however you happen to word it, and it essentially can kind of figure that out. So, I mean, I don't think you could say, "Oh, that it's just predicting the next word." It's like the next word of what? Like that's so beyond that, I think. So but at the same time, like, I don't understand it completely, so I'm not going to say, oh, this and that, I completely understand it. There's a lot of smart people on this paper. It's 154 pages. Look at it yourself. I think they're onto something here. I've been thinking that as well. And I don't think it's I used to, like, I made the first few videos I made when I first talked to GPT. I was thinking, oh wow, GPT-7, GPT-8 is going to be insane. Even 4 is insane. Like, 5 is just going to be okay, we're done. And then it's 6 is 6 will then, I don't know when we'll have 6. We don't need 6. So we'll see. But this is where I want to get into igniting the sparks, because that's where we are now, and that's the next big thing that I want to talk about. And this was something that just happened. When was this? So this article here was the 22nd of March, although this here says 24, but it came out on the 22nd. So this was what, 21, I said, 22, and then the GPT plugins came out on the 23. Oh, I just closed it though, unfortunately. Let me open it again. So this one here, the ChatGPT plugins. It took me a little time to understand what this is, because it's actually funny. I actually found out about this before it even came out in the article, because I happened to be looking at the API and I was refreshing it, and just at that time it showed up in the API or in the documentation, and I was like, what is ChatGPT plugins? And then, like, maybe an hour later I saw this article, or saw the announcement. It might have been at the same time perhaps, but I actually found out about it through the docs, which is kind of weird. Anyways, basically, this is insane. What this is like what people were worried about, I would say. This sounds so casual. Oh, just some plugins. No, this is giving a pseudo AGI access to run code and to the internet, and calling it plugins. So this is these sparks. This is the ignition sequence here happening. unfortunately, in some ways. It's a really cool idea. I kind of question it from the point of view of some of the companies too. Like I can understand if they're an Instacart or someone where there's like the service and then they get some money for something else involving the service. But as far as just giving ChatGPT kind of tentacles into your system, I think sometimes it's like, okay, where's the profit come in, or it's going to be tricky. But I'm starting to think these whole profit motives and stuff aren't going to make any sense, honestly. And the more of this stuff comes out, the more when I ask those questions, I go, but wait a minute, why would that even matter? Because we'll have this, you know. That's where I'm feeling with AI at this point. Let's go into some examples here. Like they talk about some examples. This is worth checking out. But I have a few that were tweeted by like the co-CEO. I can't remember this guy's affiliation. He's at the top of OpenAI, one of the top ones, up there with Sam. They're hanging out. This one was probably the most insane one. There's a tool called FFmpeg. I actually have it on in my website as well via WebAssembly, where you can kind of convert video, audio, do any kind of tweaking to it, whatever it happens to be. And then Python, there's the Python programming language for being able to do programming things. This video demo insanity here is basically, so you've given ChatGPT a video, whatever it happens to be, and then you say, hey, you know, actually, I just want the first 5 seconds of that video. And what it's able to do essentially here is write a Python script to edit that video using FFmpeg and then run it itself internally, wherever it happens to be running it, in the cloud, you know. It's running it and it's actually doing this thing. So that's like, oh, cool, now it just got 5 seconds of a video. Sure, but it could have done a lot of other things. You could have written a lot of other scripts that ran a lot of other things, and it did it so fast. So let's say if, like, how many people are asking it a question at any one time? 1 million people. So can you imagine? That's the kind of thing it has the ability to do, is essentially write 1 million scripts and launch them 1 million within 1 second, you know, within 10 seconds, however it happens to be. It blows my mind, honestly. Like I keep losing the words to think about it sometimes, because it's like I say, where I just keep jumping to the next step. It's like, well, if it's got this, then why doesn't it have this? And I think it's just a short matter of time, and that's why we're seeing these insane weeks, you know. I'm hoping like at this point, I'm hoping it slows down a little bit, honestly. Like it'd be cool more of these things to happen, but if it's every week like this, first off, I can't keep up. And it's like I don't even know what to look into. Like what's the next thing? If I'm so excited about this and then version 6 comes out and it's like 10 times better, it's just like, I don't know, it's draining a little bit. I don't know, I shouldn't be complaining perhaps, but this one's the most insane demo, I would say. Another one that's also insane in the same way pretty much is the idea of the browsing mode, which is essentially just giving it access to the internet. So in this case here, oh, and this is even more meta here, because when ChatGPT plugins came out, of course, everywhere that it gets posted, Hacker News being one of the most popular places where there's lots of comments, you're able to actually ask ChatGPT in real time, hey, that section that's talking about you, can you summarize all the comments about it? And it'll actually go to the Hacker News article happening right now and read the latest comments. You could even post comments and it could read them. And it'll just make summaries, and you can see it doing it here, and it can do many follow-ups. And I've said this is something that Bing Chat's kind of similar to doing, but it does look a lot deeper and a lot more into it. And it's quite insane, really. And then it just summarizes all the comments here, basically. But I mean, the sky's the limit for that. So you combine this with the scripts and stuff, and I mean, like, what question? Like, this is genie in the bottle thing. Like, what do you want to ask it? And just like, as soon as you ask it something, it could just go off and start running things almost immediately. So that's another crazy one. That was on the 23rd. And then this is this is one of the most insane plugins, is the fact that it has the Wolfram alpha language. I should start with that if you're not familiar with this. This has been going on for 20 plus years. This guy, Stephen Wolfram, I think is his name, really super smart guy, has essentially written a programming language, and it's a whole company at this point. But you can see here the simplicity of it: video map, highlight, image. These are basic concepts and words, but he's kind of linked it to all this processing into very accurate information. So when we joke about ChatGPT, you know, 2 + 2 is 5 or something, it's now hooked into this for its helper thinking, you know? This is just one of its abilities. And this is an insane language that can do 1 million things. And if you see here from the example, this is posted on the 23rd, the same day I think the announcement of the plugin. So they'd already been working together, obviously. And the amount of things it can do is just insane, really. Like, you can tell it to make a waveform of some sounds or words and just manipulate it. And like, I mean, it's so much more high level. Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't get into scientific research of waveforms and formulas and stuff. But that's where I think this stuff is going to be even more insane. Like, you can just see all the things it can do. Here's that waveform examples. Make a spectrogram of synthesized speech for hello there. And it says, hey, Wolfram language can do that. Okay, do it for me. And then run it yourself. And it just does all those things. So when you combine the running of the code, the new language abilities that Wolfram language gives it, plus the browsing the internet, and then we're talking here about we're having Sparks Ignite, and just what Bill Gates is talking about as well. I mean, just like, that's pretty simple, do the math kind of stuff, basically. And so yeah, like, I'm a little worried about all that. On another topic, moving off of the ChatGPT side of it and the GPT-4 side, I've got access to Bard. I was on the list for Google Bard, and this is Google's ChatGPT, basically. I'm sure they wouldn't want me to say it that way. But this is, I've been trying it out. Not impressed. Very bad with code. Just hasn't been good, honestly. Let's ask it. Why are you not good at writing code? One thing that is cool, though, and that I've wanted from these and that I got from when I first saw ChatGPT is just that I've stopped trying to help the computer. Like, I still have voice assistants, you know, like the Alexas and Hey Googles of the world or whatever, and you still got to really hold their hand and you got to say the exact thing. But with these language models, the ChatGPTs, the Bards of the world, I'm done with that. You know, I'm going to talk like I'm talking to the people here that I'm talking on the video, and we'll see what it says here. But that's the way I want to talk going forward. And that's kind of the future of programming languages. You know, like, if you were to ask it, like, as I'm a programmer, if you were to ask me like about learning JavaScript and Python and stuff, I would say, yeah, for sure, with the help of AI. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost like if you're going to spend 5 years getting focused on the technicalities of how to write Python, a lot's going to happen in 5 years, you know, like maybe AI is just going to rewrite Python, or like, if you can just say anything and have it created, do you need to get into the technicalities of it? You know, it's almost certainly going to be made better by the AI at that point. So even me as a programmer, I'm questioning whether I would want to be diving deep into programming those kind of things. The kind of things that it can do, I just don't see why I would do them then. It just doesn't, I don't know if that would be fun. I mean, it's interesting to see, you know. So far, it's not there. The code that I've seen produced is like not at the level yet, and it needs a ton of double checking. But I think we'll talk about this in like, as you see here, I've got many tabs of many more news items. But when we get to the last one here, and the GitHub and the writing code, there's a lot on that front as well that I think is going to change things. Let's see what it said here. Why are you not good at writing code? I'm still under development, and I do not have physical body. Why does that have anything to do with anything? See, here's where it's already bad. It's like, why did it decide to bring physical bodies into this? You know, I said, why are you not good at writing code? Oh, well, writing requires a body, doesn't it? No. I'm not able to write code in the same way that a human can because of the body. However, I am able to access and process information from the real world through Google search. Okay, so you're just like, well, hey, there's my catch. ChatGPT can't do that. Google it then. Wait, does it just open Google if I press that? Okay, it's in here at least. Google what? How to improve coding writing. For you, though. All right, so I'm already frustrated with it, but Bard has not been good. So that's another cool announcement. Moving away from the large language models and the GPTs and the Bards of the world, I want to get into another insane thing that wasn't my realm, but art. AI art. And the first one I'm going to talk about, this was a while ago, a while ago in AI terms, March 15th. I think that was less than 2 weeks, I believe. But Midjourney version 5. First off, Midjourney version 4 was already the best one. I haven't talked about it too much because it's kind of weird. Like, you have to go into Discord to use it, and I don't pay for it, so I don't have the V5 right now to even demo that. But I'd say it's better than DALL-E. It's better than some of the other things I'm about to talk about that have also come out. It's probably the best one. And look at some of the stuff here. That picture right there is just AI art, just someone asking for a photo of something. And if they wanted to say, make her eyes bigger, change every aspect about her, it'd be fine because there is no her. That's just a completely made up image, including the background and everything. And you can see here some of them. I mean, it's just insane when you consider all that's made up, the reflections, the things, the food here. Like, could you tune it to change whatever that is? Is that cheese? Or I don't even know what that is. Or this bread here, like, it's all made up. That's not bread. Like, that's even crazy to think about it. Like, if you were just, when you look at a photo and you think there's a story there, there's a building, No, it's all just made up in this case. It's pretty weird the way the world's going to be. This food here, like, am I supposed to feel like that's tasty even though it's just been completely made up? Like before, it used to be fake because the cheese would be plastic and it would be like blowtorched or something. But now it's just pixels, you know? It wasn't even made by a person. Like, how does the robot even know that's tasty? It looks delicious, but I mean, it's insane. Like that person doesn't exist. This person doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. It's just it's a pretty crazy world we're living in that way. And like some of these, and it can even do pictures of people that do exist, but this is completely fake. These ones here, like I can't remember the name of this guy right now. There's an actor, but that's not even him. You know, that's just a fake photo because they just have enough pictures of him to make up him. Crazy world we're living in. So Midjourney is the realistic one, I would say. That's an amazing one, and that just came out on the 15th as V5. Not even easy to use right now, and you'd have to pay for it. And like I said, use Discord. But then on the 20th, just like a few days later, this Gen 2 of text to video and video manipulation, which is another insane one that it's going a little bit slower. It still looks a bit wonkier, but this one's pretty insane. Like, first off, you can just ask aerial drone footage of a mountain range. It just made this video. I mean, in the same similar way that it makes that one picture, it makes the frames, but there's something more complex about connecting the frames and the contextual moving, the aerial shot, that kind of thing. There's obviously a lot more to it. That's so much more advanced that it's doing a video. And you can see some of them here. And there's also ones you can do this. I don't know if this is a real person or not, but you can also take real video and stylize them and modify them. One of the best examples is this dancer one here, where you took that you make that dance and then you just give it one picture and it can do this insane video thing. Using books here. Just say you want a picture of your dog, you want it to be a Dalmatian or something like that. I mean, it's just getting pretty insane. And like, this is just the beginning. We call this Gen 2, but it's like, what was Gen 1? Like 3 weeks ago, probably. And this was just days ago. And then you want to talk about big players in the video photo space. Adobe Firefly. There we go. They're in it now too. They've got the AI art. And it's pretty insane. I mean, it used to be a big deal that they could do like little touch-ups or make something transparent, but the things we were just seeing there, like first off, it made the entire bird, you know, like, oh wow, it cut out the transparency. Dude, it made the bird. It made the entire bird. That's more insane, obviously, by 10 times farther. So I mean, and that's just some of the stuff it can do. This stylistic font and the texturizing is insane as well. And this is another one where I've signed up for the waiting list, and this is another one where I have access, and this one we're going to do a little demo of in the same way that we did Bard, hopefully less disappointing. So here's Firefly Beta. And I have a lot of respect for Adobe, obviously, Photoshop, Premiere. I mean, they're just huge in the space. So to say that they're getting into this stuff is pretty crazy. You can see here, so this is all AI art. So, and they have these little examples here. We'll probably just use an example to keep it safe, but it's actually so much more tunable that I find it very fun. Like, what's this one here? Or let's do one that's kind of very stylistic so we can go far with it that way. Here, a castle in the sky with 2 lovers on the stairs. So if we click that there, it makes these. That made them pretty quick, probably because it was the pre-picked one. But here we can start to tweak it. So first off, we could tweak it by changing the words. Let's do that a little bit to make it our own. Let's say a castle in the sky with 2 lovers on the stairs. Let's just say with an alien on the stairs. One thing that's funny, and this is almost like dream-like, is when you add one word, like to put an alien on the stairs will be to somewhat alienize the whole world. I feel like we'll see, but that's something I've noticed with this AI art is it doesn't necessarily disconnect it. It's like, well, if there's an alien on the stairs, it's probably an alien world, right? And maybe it's fair to make that assessment. So there you go. So it's made it much more alien, but as you can see, that's pretty cool. So now let's get into some of this tweaking here. This is something that Midjourney has a little bit of this, where you can do like dash stuff and like add all these little flags. DALL-E has almost none of this, but what's cool is like, so let's say we put styles here. There's so many stylistic pieces you could add, and it adds them in a very nice way. So let's say we want to add a bit of synthwave, and you see here it just puts it here at the bottom. That's very cool. And this content type also makes a big difference. So let's say we make it graphical. I think when you click this, it changes right away, by the way. Click. Yeah, there we go. So now we got graphic and synthwave with the same alien castle in the sky with the stairs. And you'll see that it'll add all those things and make all these little stylistic tweaks. I mean, that's not a small tweak it made there, but pretty cool, I'd say. And then there's some other stuff you can do here, like the tone. Let's say we want the more warm tone. We want some dramatic lighting.
And for the composition, let's try to do more wide angle. And you see it just adds all those little pieces in here. And you could see how you could just make something like this. And let's say, so you pull it into Photoshop and you do all those cool tricks. And I mean, you're done in such a short amount of time. So there you go. So I made something pretty cool. And you could just make more, I think. Like if I press refresh, do I just get 4 more? Let's try to remember. This one's got this like weird spidery thing. So we press refresh and we just get like 4 different iterations. Or we just change one word and we'll get different iterations. Like we could get rid of the word stairs and put escalator or elevator. Oh, that's a huge difference that refresh made actually. So it's pretty cool. And that was just one example. The one other piece I wanted to show for Firefly, there's actually a lot of other things they're going to do, like recoloring vector, like some of these here where it shows coming soon. But there's a lot of other ones, 3D to image, text to pattern, extend image. Extend image is cool. I mean, DALL-E already has a little bit of that with this outpainting, but it's very futuristic, the like zoom out, the fake zoom out. Same with zoom in almost. Like zoom in and zoom out used to be jokes on an image. Like the pixels are what they are. But nowadays it's like, well, not really. Like it could always just make up pixels, essentially. So here, these are pretty cool. So this is like the stylistic stuff. So this is like a cookie one, chocolate chip cookie letters. So you could say chocolate chip cookies, and let's just, what do we want to change them slightly? Let's call them macadamian cookies. Macadamian cookies. Let's have it autocorrect for me because I don't know how to spell that. Macadamia? No, that can't be right. What about almond cookies? Is that going to modify it some way? Let's make them almond cookies and see what changes. I would be happy if there's cookies with almonds on them. That would be cool. Or yeah, kind of, yeah. I don't even think almond cookies are a thing, but it made it. So again, like you can just change the word, and I could put my name here, Dustin Brett, just to be cool. Dustin Bread, and make it bread here. Bread toast. I'll do Dustin Bread. I don't know why, but that's the thing. Like I'm feeling like having fun again, like when I first learned computers. Like I haven't felt this way in a while with the things that AI are allowing me to do. Like, what if I just put my name, but the font is made of bread? Like what? I never even thought of that. Like the amount of creativity that this kind of stuff has given us is pretty cool. So there you go. You can make bread fonts, and you can make it tighter, looser, and it kind of increases the amount of bread, and like how big your loaf is, kind of thing. I got a tight loaf there. There's a million things you can do with it. It's pretty cool. So this is the DALL-E one. I'd mentioned it before. It's not so bad in comparison. Like I think it does better at some of the images, but it doesn't have any of the cool features. So like let's say here this 3D render, you can click these to make your own. I happen to have some credits, so I can make my own. Oh, but the server's currently overloaded. Oh well. I was expecting it to be unimpressive anyway, so let's skip that and go on to the next thing, which is also DALL-E created, and also another cool news. Where is this in the level of news? So we talked about Firefly. That was March 21st. Also March 21st, Bing. Bong. Bing is in it too. So now with Bing, in search, you can just say, how about you just draw me an image? Not only do I want to search for an image, I want you to make me images. And it'll make them in this new tool called the Image Creator. So not only can you do it in the chat, but which I have access to, but rather than demo the chat this time, because I've demoed that in the past, well, you can demo the Image Creator itself. So as you see, it's like another Adobe AI art, like all the other AI art looking ones. And this one's powered similar, I think, by DALL-E 2, but it's kind of connected to Bing, and it's kind of a whole different one. And it doesn't require the same level of credits too, so that's kind of cool. So let's make a picture of this, the Mountain Fantasy. So let's just copy that text and we'll change it slightly. Mountains Fantasy Digital Art at midnight. I don't know how that could make any difference. Or let's say Exploding Sun. Exploding Sun. That's adding a real twist in there. And this is just playing with AI art, but this is another free thing. So this is Bing. I mean, maybe it's free. I'm not even sure, but Bing Image Creator. It's I think you have to have Bing points. I don't even know how it works. I just search for stuff and somehow get points. But there we go. So it made an exploding sun. That's kind of cool. And then yeah, so it's another one. Like this is where they're just kind of everyone's going full in on AI art, which is another cool thing. And I actually saw a Reddit post the other day where people were very bothered by Midjourney's results at making 3D images and saying like it essentially kind of killed their passion for some art. And I kind of understand what they're saying there. So that kind of can make sense, a little bit. But then, yeah, finally moving out of art and getting into a bit of the code and productivity and what another big one. This was March 16th. I hadn't covered this one either, but Microsoft has their own Copilot thing called Microsoft 365 Copilot. And this is big. I've been telling my friends this, and like this is the thing you tell your mom and dad kind of thing, is like you use Microsoft Word or Excel. Most people can use that to some level. So now basically there's going to be like a chat box where you can just ask it to help you with a million different things, like fix these spreadsheets for me. Some like it's not going to be make a formula. It's going to be like solve all my problems, like I mean, in a small way, but like that's the kind of creativity I think we need to get to, like we don't need to use it as a small tool anymore, like if you think you have a hammer, you only see nails or something like that. It's like they're not nails anymore. Like the canvas is open, Excel, the fact that there's these cells is like such a, for Excel spreadsheets, is such a minor point of the fact that this AI can put magic in there for you, kind of, if you ask the right questions. And you have the right data, typically. That's like another big piece of it. But this is just going to be in all sorts of systems, I think, and for Microsoft, I think. And they're going to integrate this into the OS soon enough if they haven't already. I don't even know. Like, that'll be tomorrow's news, probably. Who knows? But that's just another insane one. That's in these Copilot things that Microsoft likes the word of. And that brings me to one of the other big news, and this is in my profession, the software development. We know GitHub Copilot, where it kind of auto-completes stuff in VS Code and that kind of thing. But they've leveled it up like 5 times over here with many different versions. So they're going to have Copilot Chat now, where it's going to be able to talk about the code as you're typing it, or like as you're working with it. So not only could it autocomplete this for you, but then you could highlight it and go, I don't even understand what you've done here. So can you explain this to me? Another cool one is documentation, where you can kind of basically just talk to your documentation. Like a good example here, the joke one, how do you center a div? Like that's, once you can do that, you're a programmer. But here it'll just give you a very personalized explanation that you can discuss with it. Pull requests, when you put in code, it's going to start giving you suggestions for pull requests. I hope in the future it can just completely review it, where, they can just do it all for you, essentially. Like, that's where we're moving towards anyways. The command line interface, that's another insane one. So now when you type into terminal or CLI, you can just kind of do question mark, and then just ask for what command you want, In this case here, use FFmpeg to add a watermark to a video. And it gives you the command and explains it for you and can run it for you too. So yeah, this stuff's just insane, and it's never ending. Like this is a week and a half or less. So I hope that can inspire people and maybe, I don't know, scare them, but like light a fire under them kind of thing. And I hope, as far as a takeaway that people can take away, is that natural language and creativity are the new programming languages, and there's details of the technical language part, and they're important, they're interesting to learn. But I think in the future, natural language, creativity, and learning what to do with these magic tools is going to superpower your productivity and whatever future it is you happen to have, whatever the future happens to be. I don't know. So I think that's something important to think about, and it's getting easier than ever. Like it sounds complex, all this stuff, but you're talking to tools now, and it's just more and more tools that you can talk to nowadays, and that's the kind of stuff we're seeing, and it's insane. And I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please throw me a like, and if you want to motivate me, if you want to see more of these updates, there's going to be more of them, then please subscribe. So thanks for checking it out. See you in the next one. Bye.